We're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship, zooming through the sky. Little Einsteins, climb aboard, get ready to explore. There's so much to find. Little Einstein.
So where are we going? We are going to Asia. We're going to start off in Vietnam and go to Ho Chi Minh City and to Hue. Then from there we're going to go to Osaka, Japan, and a couple other places in Japan as well, and then end in South Korea. The reason why we're going on this trip to Asia, it started off as simply a trip because a friend is getting married in South Korea. So we are going to go to the wedding. But after we started looking at when the wedding was going to take place and where it's going to take place, and I've always wanted to go to Asia because I do have a minor in Japanese, we decided to extend the trip to include Japan. Once I started to take a look at Japan and some of the surrounding areas, decided to actually include my grandfather's travels in that as well. You see, my grandfather, Emory Newman, he was a Marine from 1942 to about 1970, off and on. I wanted to find out where he fought in the Vietnam War, Korean War, and in World War II, because he served in all three. Find out about him and find out about where he fought so that I could kind of go to some of the same places he went. You see, my grandfather, he died in 1978 and I was born in 1977, and so I did not get a chance to grow up with him as my grandfather, and so I wanted to kind of get to know him a little bit more. And I feel like this was a wonderful opportunity to do that as a learning tool for our children. We have 3 children and we want to make sure that they learn about their great-grandfather, and it will provide a story that can kind of go along with them learning about the Vietnam War, the Korean War, and World War II, because my husband does have some history with World War II, as his father was one of the hidden children of the Holocaust. Like I said before, my grandfather was a Montford Point Marine. So he entered the Marine Corps in December 30th, 1942 is when his enlistment papers were signed. And a little background of the Montford Point Marines. Montford Point Marines were the black Marines, basically. So in 1942, Roosevelt decided that he was going to actively recruit African Americans into the Marine Corps. And so I believe they started recruiting in June of 1942, and my grandfather had his paperwork signed December 30th, 1942. My grandfather was in and out of the Marines a number of times, and the reason why he was because it was very difficult being a black man in the South. He ended his career as a gunnery sergeant, and so he worked his way up in the ranks. And when you have some type of leadership role, and then you leave the service and then you go back to the segregated South, that's very difficult. It's very difficult being treated less than a man, less than a human. And so he, from my understanding, he felt like it was better to go and fight wars than to live day to day in the segregated South. That says a lot. It's very sad that he had to endure that kind of mistreatment, especially after serving in the military and not being able to find appropriate work for him. So he was in the military from 1942 to 1948. He spent a year and 3 months and 18 days overseas. He got out of the military. Then he went back in 1952 to 1958, spent 10 months and 6 days overseas. Then he went back in 1959 to 1963 and spent 3 years overseas. And then from 1967 to 1970, he spent 10 months and 19 days overseas. So you can see that in and out period. And to kind of align that to some of the conflicts that were taking place during that time period. So going from 1942 to 1946, he was at D-Day in Okinawa. So he was sent to Okinawa. He spent a lot of time in Japan over his span in the military. In September 30th, 1942, he was one of the first troops to land in China. And so that also tells you a little bit about his time there. I don't have all of the places where he landed and all of the things that he did. I've had a difficult time kind of piecing together the information. So hopefully, as time goes by, I'll be able to add to the vlog more information as I find it. In 1952 to 1958, he participated in the defense of the Korean DMZ from July 1953 to 1955. Other things that he did during that time period, I really don't know. I don't have all of that information for that period of time either. 1959 to 1963, that's Vietnam. And all of the battles and all of the things that he did during that time period, spending 3 years overseas, I don't really know exactly what that entailed. So hopefully, like I said before, hopefully I'll be able to get more information as time kind of goes by. 1967 to 1970. He spent 10 months and 19 days overseas. And from the looks of it, that entire time was at the Battle of Khe Sanh. The Battle of Khe Sanh was one of the bloodiest battles in our history, of course, excluding the Civil War, which was Americans fighting Americans. A picture of some of the people who were under his command listed here. And at the bottom, you see that his name is listed as Gunnery Sergeant Emory Newman. He was not in this picture at this time. This was at the end of the siege, and he had already left the area at that time. This was after the 10 months that they were there. I'm trying to learn more about this, about his role in this battle and about exactly what he did. During our trip to Vietnam, we will be going to Hue and having a tour of Khe Sanh. So that's kind of an overview of my grandfather's military service. So hopefully, kids, you'll see this and you will enjoy the video posts that will come after. So I'm here with my oldest daughter, Maya, and I'm going to ask her a couple of questions about our trip to Asia that we're about to take. She's not going, of course. She's going to be with her grandparents for that time period. So, Maya, what do you think about your father and I going to Asia?
It's cool that you guys get to go.
Why do you think we're going to Asia?
I know that there's a wedding, and I know that my great grandfather fought in World War II in the Vietnam War, so you want to see stuff about that.
So while we're gone, we're going to be doing some uploads of videos of us going and kind of looking around and touring different places. Are you guys going to be up for watching the vlogs of your parents?
Sure.
We're going to make sure that this is a learning experience for you because you are getting older and you do need to learn about the Vietnam War, the Korean War, and World War II. And we want to make sure that you know about these wars, not just in terms of dates and places, but in terms of actual people and experiences. So are you ready to kind of dive into that kind of adventure?
Sure.
So you're going to be spending some time with your grandparents. What do you think about that?
I wish I could go to Asia.
So you don't want to go to Alabama?
Well, I mean, I'm fine with going to Alabama, but I would rather go to Asia.
I don't think your grandparents would like that very much.
Yeah, well, I've never been to Asia before. I was going for years, and then for you guys to just go and go to Asia, it makes me realize why my generation is so depressed.
Because she can't go to Asia, she's now depressed. Wow. Some people are very privileged and entitled here.
What? It was a joke. I don't think you understand. It was a joke. Oh my gosh.
Alrighty. So, thank you, Maya, for your
You're
time.
welcome. Goodbye.
2 out of the 3 of my children. I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions. Do you know where Mommy and Daddy are going next month?
Asia.
Do you know where in Asia?
Vietnam, Japan, and South Korea.
Do you know why we're going?
So one for a wedding, Vietnam to see the base where our great grandfather died.
He did not
And-
die there. He
well,
fought there.
Fought there, sorry. And then Japan, I don't know why, but South Korea for a wedding.
Your great grandfather, he fought in Vietnam, he fought in Japan, and he was in Korea as well. Is there anything that you guys want to say in regards to the trip?
I wish we could come.
Dylan, anything that you want to say?
I don't know about it, but I will say I totally agree with Emma.
Yeah, you totally agree with Emma.
Mm-hmm.
What do you share with your great grandfather?
A birthday.
Yeah, you guys share a birthday. Both of you guys were born. When were you born?
November 6th.
Enough, little minion.
I'm a tiny minion.
So, are you guys going to watch the videos that we post?
Yes. Yes.
Are you guys going to try to learn more about these wars?
Yes. I don't know about it.
You don't know about what?
I don't know about the war thing.
Oh, you're going to have to learn about these battles.
Oh, okay. Well, I agree with Emma. Get your hands off my face.
Dylan. We're going to try to post a video every day that we're gone, at least every other day. Maybe not every day. Every other day that we're gone. And we are going to try to upload those videos and make sure that you guys can see us every day that you're with your grandparents. Okay?
Okay.
Are you guys going to have fun with your grandparents?
Yes. Yep. They got a go-kart. And they have a room with the TV in it. And I'm going to choose it this time. Woo!
What is something else you are excited about being with your grandparents?
We get to see Teen Titans go to the movies. And they said that they might have gotten a pool. I hope they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even care if they don't.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you for your input.